Breaking out of a recursive function. I'm wondering how to break out of a recursive loop to the main function. I am trying to do a simple palindrome exercise. The function should return true for redivider, but the return true is being passed to is_pal, and the function isn't breaking. Short of adding a second variable to is_pal to track true, false, what is the proper way to break out of this recursive loop?
One way to break out of a recursive function in Python is to throw an exception and catch that at the top level. Some people will say that this is not the right way to think about recursion, but it gets the job done. Furthermore, if the task is to identify problem elements in an array/array of arrays/and array etc., a break technique is convenient, because it stops the algorithm from continuing after the global solution has been identified.
That way, if they don't match, false is returned. If it makes it all the way to the end, true is returned. I also eliminated a redundant conditional and checked for the edge case of an even-length palindrome.
You don't break out of recursive functions. Trying to do so says you're thinking about them the wrong way. Currently your recursive call is ignoring the output, which means that the recursion is pointless. Whatever is _pal, middle, str, returns has no effect on the return value of your function. A recursive algorithm solves the input problem by decomposing the problem into a smaller problem, getting the solution to the smaller problem recursively, and then using the smaller solution to construct a correct solution to the larger problem. You don't break out of the inner calls, you return a solution back up one level. You don't know, or need to know, whether you're in an inner call or a top-level call. In either case, your function should do the same thing, return true if the argument is a palindrome, and false if it isn't. The algorithm you're trying to implement is basically this. If the string is of length 1, it's a palindrome, return true. Otherwise, if the first character is the same as the last character, then the input is a palindrome if the middle characters are a palindrome. So what this means is that once you've established the first and last characters are the same, the answer to, is my input a palindrome, is exactly the same as the answer to, are the middle characters a palindrome. You need to return that answer to fulfill your contract. So the recursive call should be return is_pal, middle, str, rather than just is_pal, middle, str. If this was a top-level call, then that's the answer. If this wasn't a top-level call, then the outer call is going to need this answer to work out the answer to the outer problem, in this case, by simply returning it. By the way, your algorithm also has some other problems. You never return false, so the answer can never be false. In this case you happen to accidentally return none by falling off the end of the function if the first and last character don't match, and none will probably do as a stand-in for false in most cases, but it's still not really correct. If the string's length is 0 rather than 1, which will happen if an empty string is passed in or if a palindrome of even length is passed in once all the pairs of equal first and last characters are stripped off, then you don't return the correct answer, and in fact you try to get the first and last character of the empty string, which will cause an exception.
You can exit the program after printing the results using the exit function. That may not be a good practice, but it might be what you're looking for. You're missing a return. Also, don't use str as a variable name. Last thing, the first and last functions could be named slightly better.
If you want support, please consider liking and subscribing.